Welcome to the 7th episode of the Running with Kelly podcast, where I bring in my best friend and running partner, Alex Kroll, to join me as we talk about all things running. How you doing, Alex?
Good morning, Kelly. I'm great. How are you this morning?
I'm great.
Hey, before we get started, I just have to throw this out there. We are only 3 and 4 weeks away from the Heritage Hero Run Stroll and Roll. September 9th, we'll be up at Seabreeze Amusement Park. There's a 5K and a 10K option, and you can stay and spend the day at Seabreeze riding all the rides. A week later, we're heading down the Thruway on September 16th to Beaver Island State Park on Grand Island. We're going to have a 5K out there for Heritage with lunch, tons of fun family activities, and a huge basket raffle. So go online today to heritagehero.org, and we have a promo code for you. Type in RWK when you check out. You'll get $5 off your registration. And we can't wait to see you out there. It's a great race. It's a great organization. And I'm so happy that we get to talk about it, and especially that we get to talk with our guest this morning, because I think she's got a heck of a story. So I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. And thanks for mentioning the Heritage Hero. It's an awesome race, and our guest has actually done it. Before we get to that, this is the third in a short podcast series called Say I Won't. And in this series, we talk to runners and racers who have overcome or are overcoming challenges and doing things that maybe they were told they couldn't do, proving people wrong. This idea came to me from one of my favorite Christian artists, Mercy Me has a song called Say I Won't. The lyrics are on the screen. I'm just going to highlight 2 lines. So keep on saying I won't, and I'll keep proving you wrong. And I feel like our guest today has proved people wrong for a lot of her life. She's a truly inspiring person. She's a retired mechanical engineer, an accomplished and decorated equestrian. She enjoys kayaking, spending time with her fur babies, and she is the first female bilateral amputee to finish the New York City Marathon. Welcome to the podcast, Deb Marcuccilli.
Good
Welcome.
morning,
Thanks
Kelly.
for coming on.
And Alex?
Deb, we're so happy to have you here. I grabbed this quote of yours from an article about your 1994, I think it was, New York City Marathon. I don't have the legs I was born with, but I have legs, and they have taken me on an incredible life journey. Can you tell us a little bit about this life journey that's brought you to where you are?
Oh, so starting in the beginning?
Well, wherever you would like. Yes.
So both my legs were lost in a actually school bus accident when I was 7. So 60 plus years ago. So I really have not known any other kind of life. And I tell people that as horrible as it is to have that happen to a child, because I didn't know any better, I just literally ran with it, I guess you could say. So that is my life. I just don't know anything other than that.
So did you, as a child in school, did you go right off the bat with doing some sports? Like you're obviously with doing races and equestrian events, like were those things that were part of your life all along from a young age?
So from a very young age up until 15, and now we're talking the 60s, they didn't even have sports in school for any women, or at least not much.
Right.
I started riding horses when I was a teenager, and it was the local trail ride. You get on a horse and he follows the horse in front of him. And I was able to get a horse when I was 16, and my cousin and I just kind of trail rode. But I don't remember ever having a bicycle, because I think we tried to have someone local make a bicycle that I could ride, and it just didn't work.
Wow. So when did you first try putting one foot in front of the other as far as running? I know this what was it, 90, was it 94?
Yes, it was 1994. I didn't. I just walked, because in my everyday life I walked. I did not do any races. I did not know something like this was available until I heard about the Achilles organization out of New York City, that they had people with disabilities doing the New York City Marathon, and I thought, huh, one foot in front of the other, how hard can it be?
Oh, right.
So I
Easy
think
peasy.
so I did start training, if you want to call it that. I did a local 5K in the middle of the summer. It's very difficult when it's hot, especially with prosthetic legs. Um, and my brother, who was in the picture, and he lived down by New York City. He said, "Well, I'll do it with you. How hard can it be?"
Did he do the full 26 miles?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was with me the whole way, and as you can see, we finished in the dark, so it was nice having somebody with me.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what it was like finishing that. Like I can't imagine, was it 12 hours, 13 hours?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was a lot of hours. So at some point, I think it was around the 20-mile mark, I wanted to quit, but I I kind of know what I'm like, and I knew if I quit, I would want to come back the next year, and that 20 miles would be for nothing. So the last 6 miles were, just gutting it out.
I can't imagine the perseverance that must just come naturally in your blood.
I, it was, I started it, I'm going to finish it. And then crossing the finish line was amazing. They don't, so nowadays they have people at the end waiting for every single last person. There's a whole group of people that support. And there was like 2 people there.
Wow.
And the one guy was from Achilles. So the first thing he says is, "Are you coming back next year?" And I'm like, well, I won't say what I thought, but I was like, no, I don't think so.
But you did go back, right? Years later?
I did go back and hand cycle because so many years later, which was, I think it was 2016, I was I was watching the New York City Marathon and I saw hand cycles and I thought, well, So then again, I got a hold of Achilles, and just out of the blue, I was able to get in as a competitor for 2016.
How did you make the transition from wanting to do a marathon on foot to hand cycling? Like, how did you become interested in the sport?
So I had always, I was never able to bike as a child, or at least I don't remember it. But there's a local organization in Rochester called Sportsnet, and they provide different athletic pursuits for people with disabilities. And I went to one of their events and I tried one of their hand cycles and I said, "Where have these been all my life?" And the funny story is, shortly after that, I went on eBay, and the hand cycle that you see in the picture I found in Fairport.
Oh, no kidding.
So
Oh, what a small
it
world.
was meant to be.
Yeah. Before you got on, Kelly and I were chatting just a little bit about training because we talk about training all the time, and we were wondering what does training for hand cycling look like?
So for me, it's just going out my garage door as I did this morning and going up and down the road. The hand cycle that I have is considered a recreational hand cycle because if you see the racers, they have the very low to the ground hand cycles. I actually prefer mine because I'm sitting up, I can see traffic, and I'm lucky I can use my upper body. It's not all arms and shoulders. I can use my upper body, my core, to propel myself, and that saves my shoulders.
So do you have to do like, I'm just thinking of like cross training and stuff. If there's a lot of core and upper body needed, do you have to spend some time doing ab routines and any weights
Yes,
or anything like that?
anything that supports my shoulders, because if I damage my shoulders, I'm in really big trouble. So yeah, any um, upper body core exercises are helpful.
Now, do you I would imagine, like I've always, when I've seen cyclists go around and see them go up hills, I always think to myself, it's got to be harder to bike uphill than it is to run uphill. And I'm assuming with hand cycling, hills can be brutal. Do you have methods or a certain way that you attack a hill?
Again, it's using upper body and saving my shoulders. But yeah, going uphill is brutal, but going downhill is it makes it the whole uphill worth it. Because I I'll have people pass me on the uphill and I'll be like, well, I'll be seeing you in a minute. Because then I go flying by them on the downhill. And then they're like, well, can I hop on?
I bet they're your best friend at that point.
Exactly. So the uphills are difficult, yes.
I did do Alex and I did a triathlon together, and when we biked together, my most scary part was going downhill. I would ride the brakes the whole time because I was just too
Yep.
nervous.
And so I will, if I'm coming downhill and I know there's a turn, then I will have to ride the brakes because you cannot turn quickly on a hand cycle. You will go right over.
Wow.
Right.
Now, when was it that you reached out? Because I know it was I think it was the Legacy Mile at that time, and we were probably at MCC.
Yes. And so at the time, well, I have a friend that's a quadriplegic, and she when I got my hand cycle, we found one for her on eBay, even better because hers has mountain gearing. Anyway, once she started hand cycling, she's like, I want to do a race. She's competitive from way back when. So, and I was like, well, I don't know if they allow hand cycles. And I mean, there still is very rarely a division for hand cycles, but you will find, or at least I have found, that people running 5Ks, they're doing it for a charity. So they don't care how you do the 5K. But Kelly was the first person that I reached out to. It just happened to be the first 5K that came up. And I said, would you allow us to do a 5K? And that was my first hand cycle race with Kelly and Heritage Hero.
Wow. And I remember that, like, oh, I don't know. And to learn what the difference was even between hand cycle racing and wheelchair racing is different.
Exactly. And huge difference.
Yeah. Well, now, can you explain like what some of the differences are, like, and the advocacy to have them be two separate divisions?
So wheelchair racing it's all it's the athlete. My hand cycle has gears. With wheelchair racing, it's the athlete physically turning the wheels.
Yeah.
Huge difference. So it's the most comparable to an actual athlete walking or running the course because they are propelling themselves with just their bodies.
Yeah, I never really thought about that much.
It's huge because the wheelchair, they call them push wheel. The wheelchair racing people, they have divisions all over the world. They are an accepted group. Hand cycling, not so much. There are some races that allow them and some races that have their own division, but there's not very many.
Interesting.
What are some of the bigger races that have the hand cyclist division? Does New York City have that now?
Yes. And that's how I raced in 2016.
Okay.
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
And well, Boston, I believe, but I don't think it's a division. I think it's an exhibition class, but they do allow hand cycles.
And how about the one that's always so hot in the middle of July? What's that called? The Boilermaker. Did you do that one?
I did that virtually only because they did not know I was on a hand cycle. They have a huge wheelchair racing division. I mean, huge. But
I've never actually been to that race. I know I think it's the world's largest 15K.
It
it's
traditionally
so
has been, yeah.
so my daughter did it one year and she said, I'll never do this again because it's a crowd. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But
I did it a year and a half ago, and we thought we were going to be late to the start because we were in line for the bathrooms for so long.
you
It
can't
was that full and busy.
you can't even really run because there's so many people.
Yeah.
Is that what you
It felt like the first 2 miles you were just shuffling along with thousands of other people.
so
Unless you started in the front or in like an elite corral, which I am never starting in an elite corral. You're just back there with thousands, I mean, thousands and thousands of other people. And I don't think last summer was a sellout. When they used to sell it out pre-COVID, it was even bigger. But that is a pretty course and it is hilly. So if you ever get a chance to actually hand cycle it in person, enjoy the downhills because the uphills are kind of brutal. So, but that is a decent race, except for all the people.
So Deb, I had to ask, I talked or, messaged back and forth with your daughter, Alex, who's also an accomplished marathoner, just came back from London this spring, right? Did you go with her to that race by the way?
I did. We call it racecations. I don't think I made that up. So
Oh,
she
Love it.
runs and I get the vacation.
I love it. So
So
you
yeah,
didn't do the race.
no, no, but I did find a woman online and I did not meet her when I was there. She was doing the London Marathon in a regular manual wheelchair. I wish I had met her.
Wow.
Wow.
That is kind of crazy, but I found her on Facebook. Anyway,
That's awesome. When I was talking to her, I had to ask her if the correct term for you would be an equestrian or a driver, because I know it's a little bit different. And she said actually both. So can you? I know you said you did some um, equestrian when you were in school, but it sounds she mentioned you've won actually some a lot of ribbons recently at the, let's see if I could say it right, Orleton Farm Pleasure Driving Show.
yes, that
And
was a
so I don't know which ones these, I know these ones you sent me, but can you tell us a little bit about your equestrian life?
So I've been very, very lucky, and I freely admit that I've always, since the age of 16, had a horse, and I, I, I just prefer to get on a horse and go for a trail ride, and we have enough land in back of our house that I was able, I, I, I ride by myself. I don't have anybody with me. I don't need any help getting on the horse. Um, a year and a half ago, my horse passed away, and I'm 68. So the thought of getting a new horse, and it's a process, getting used to the horse, getting the horse used to me. And I happened to find a woman 5 minutes from my house who trains driving horses, and I thought, maybe I'll give that a try. So she's been, having never worked with a person with disability, she was very open to me coming over and doing lessons. And I've been going to shows with her. So last weekend, we went to a huge pleasure driving show in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. And I had her pony, her carriage, her harness, and I had a great weekend showing. So I don't know if you guys know anything about pleasure driving, but there used to be a huge show in Rochester called Walnut Hill, which
Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
they never had. They stopped having it. But with this woman, I've been able to. Her name is Sarah Bates. I've been able to do well. We went to Florida in February.
Oh,
I've
Wow.
been able to do some. That's the picture on the left. That's her pony, who is amazing. and that's an obstacle with water in it. So with her, I've been able to do this new sport called carriage driving.
Oh, that's awesome.
I also, when I was in Florida in February, was classified. There is no carriage driving in the Paralympics, but there are world championships, and I was classified as a para driver. So that if in the future I should get to some sort of an international competition, I've got my para driving classification.
Wow.
That's so cool. I'm just amazed by and I don't think I have any photos of you in kayaking, but I saw you've done some outrigger canoeing.
Again, I consider myself to be so fortunate. 20 years ago, again, I met a woman in Rochester, um, and she was doing outrigger canoeing with people with disabilities. And I got in touch with her, and we've done some races nationally. And I, let's see, 2 years in a row, and this was when the competition was in Pennsylvania. I was able to finish first as so I am for 2 years in a row I was a national women's sprint kayak champion.
Wow. What's a sprint? Is that like
500
no
meters.
kayak?
It's 500 meters going all out. It's crazy.
That sounds hard.
It is hard. It's a lot of upper body and core, which is, it's great to keep that in shape for both sports.
Yeah. So it sounds like they really support each other. I feel like looking at your pictures of the equestrian and of the pony driving, that probably takes quite a bit of upper body strength as well.
It does because first of all, I have to stabilize myself in the seat. So that's a lot of core, and that yeah, from both sports.
That's amazing.
I think from a runner's perspective, I think we could learn a lot from that because we're pretty darn good at what we're good at, which is going one way forward. And that sometimes doesn't require that upper body strength. So, when we think about what other activities and what other sports are there out there, this has been great for me to learn about these kind of things too, because I know that in the future I would love to try this. Like seeing this looks so cool that, I think, I don't know, I'd love to give it a shot.
Are you talking about the hand cycling or the driving?
No, well, hand cycling, I would love to try. I think it would be very humbling from a runner's perspective. That the minute I saw a hill, it would be over, either going up or down. And also the equestrian stuff too. I remember my sister used to ride when we were little, and I was always intimidated. Number one, by the horses, and number two, by the amount of different strength it takes to do that kind of activity and exercise. So it's really, really impressive.
Oh, and you know what? It's you've heard of, well, obviously e-bikes. So now there are people with hand cycles that are getting they're getting the extra boost. They're having electric batteries attached. And
Oh, okay.
There's a young woman in Rochester that just took her hand cycle in and had it boosted, I guess. So what that does for you, and I don't consider it cheating, but it extends the range of where you can go with a hand cycle. And if you get a really difficult hill, I'm thinking that would be so helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know last year, well, you know that hill for the Heritage Hero.
Oh, yeah.
Heritage Hero, that often we had a hand cyclist last year that needed a little bit of an assist going up the hill because it is, I mean, it's a difficult hill. You must love that hill.
On a hill like that, if I get to the point where I can't hand cycle anymore, I just like a pushroom wheelchair racer, I just start pushing the wheels.
Okay. So back to the New York City. You did the New York City with the hand cycle in 2016. There's a lot of hills. I've done that race once. I mean, the bridges and everything. Did you have someone with you to help you with that, or did you just solo?
I was solo. I wish I'd had someone with me, but it would have been uh, it would have been nice just to have somebody with me. But no, I did it. I was by myself. My daughter was doing the race, but she started way later than I did. Oops.
You'll have to answer the phone and say, "Welcome to
Sorry.
the podcast."
Hang on. All right. Sorry about that.
So you conquered those hills of New York City solo.
Oh, so yeah, the one bridge, the 59th Street Bridge. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
So I actually, and people were following me online. I actually, because they gave me a separate lane, I actually stopped for about 10 minutes just to watch the runners. And then I came, this is really funny. So I came flying down the other end, but not as fast as I'm sure some of the hand cyclists. At the bottom, you have to do like a hairpin turn, and there were hay bales down there, and I thought, oh my god, they're there for the guys that are going really fast. Anyway, it was
Wow.
pretty funny. But so then afterwards, I got home and people said, "Oh my God, you stopped! I thought there was something wrong." And I said, "No, I." So obviously, I'm not out to win anything. I'm out for the experience, and I just, not that I've done a lot of marathons, but when I'm out on the course, I'm just enjoying it. I'm soaking it in. And like New York City, there's bands playing, and it's just anyway. I was there for the experience, not to burn up the course.
That's awesome. I did it for the experience too when I went and did that race. Which is an awesome race. I highly recommend it. Before we let you go, your daughter Alex had mentioned that I should ask you about one of your fur babies, Shadow, and how you took Shadow on a golf cart ride.
Oh, yeah. So Shadow he showed up at our door one day. He was a young cat, maybe less than a year old, and he hung around and he didn't beat up on my other cat. So one day he went in and became a upstanding citizen via the vet. I have an electric golf cart that I ride around the yard in, and it's pretty quiet because it's electric. So I didn't want him to be afraid of it. So slowly, ever so slowly, I got him on the golf cart, and now he just he loves it.
That's awesome. How many cats do you have?
Oh, we have 3.
3 kitties. I love kitties. So before we let you go, we do have the race coming up, the Heritage Hero race. And you're registered.
And I'm doing it with my brother and my nephew,
cool.
Jared.
The brother that was in the New York City?
Yes. Yep.
I was going to ask if he's still out there doing races and stuff, or if he was done after that.
I keep signing him up for stuff, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
That's awesome. So yeah, Alex had mentioned the Heritage Hero is coming up. It's just 3 weeks away.
I know. I'm ready.
I could train.
Oh, you know what?
I have
that shirt on.
Hey, all right.
That's in the picture. I just noticed that.
One of these days we'll have to have you switch to the 10K.
I've thought about it, but I didn't want to do that to my brother. So I would love that.
So you do have a fundraising page set up on the Heritage Hero. I know there's
Nice.
some on there. So if our listeners would like to support Deb on her fundraising page to raise money for Heritage Hero, you can go to heritagehero.org, choose the Rochester event, click on fundraisers, and search for Deb Marcuccilli. And you would be able to donate $1, $5, $100, $1 million, however much you'd like to honor Deb, as she's one of my heroes for sure, especially after today's chat. So I'm so excited that you're now after the Heritage. I know that's probably next. Do you have any other big plans, equestrian, kayaking, or hand cycling coming up?
Yeah, we have a carriage driving competition in Tryon, North Carolina in September, and another one in New Jersey in October. But I'm looking, besides that, I'm looking forward to, like I said, with my daughter, we do racecations. I just happened to find next May, there's a race in Vermont that allows hand cycles, and it's a half marathon. So I'm already trying to book race. It's not easy to find a race with a hand cycle division. So I'm looking forward to that.
Wow. Oh, in Vermont, it will be beautiful.
Oh, that would be
Oh,
gorgeous.
you should come. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Is it the Burlington one?
I think it is.
I did the full marathon there.
So there's a central area where you start, and then it comes back to that for if you can do a half or a full. But it's nice to the difficult thing about New York City was that it started on Staten Island and ended in Central Park. So I like the ones that start and end in the same place. It's a little easier.
Yeah, for sure. Logistics. Oh, that's a beautiful race. That's always been one of my favorites, that Burlington, Vermont one.
We've been talking about racecations, Kelly, and we have yet to go on one. So maybe we need to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Because now we have another reason to go.
Yeah.
Because we would have someone to cheer on, which I think
absolutely.
Is
that's awesome.
Come and join us.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This was so fun chatting with you, and I actually won't be at the Heritage Hero this year. I'll be in Oak Forge. So we hired Vicki Beaver is going to be the race director for the day, so she'll be there as race director. But Alex Kroll
I'll be there.
Nice. It'll be nice to meet you. Are you running or are you helping to run it?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Nice.
Now, is your daughter Alex doing it?
She is not.
Well, again, thanks for coming, and hopefully I'll be able to see you at another event. Not this one, but we'll catch up, and I'd love to see how everything goes with your carriage driving competitions this fall.
Thank you.
All right. Well, good
luck
luck
with everything. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, ladies.
All right. Take
care.
care.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.